guys, it's Liz. I'm here at the garden center. I'm just making this video for you since I had a scheduling conflict and I can't be there today. So anyway, I've got a selection of plants that I'm going to show you that are just my absolute favorites for fall color, and I'll tell you all about them. So we're going to start with some perennials. This one here, this is Helenium. This is Helenium Mariachi Siesta. Here's the card, Helenium autumnale. This is native to coastal southeastern Delaware. Look at these pretty little flowers. This is the ray flower. This is the disc flower. This is a member of the Asteraceae, so this is actually not one flower, but a cluster of hundreds, if not thousands, of tiny little flowers. So this blooms in the fall. It's a wetland plant. It likes a moist area. It gets to about 18 to 20 inches tall. The species can get a little bit taller, but this is a nice short garden-sized one and an absolutely beautiful color. Isn't that a pretty color? And here we have a sedum. This is another great fall blooming plant. Look at that color. That pink is spectacular. This is stonecrop sedum autumn joy. It's going to, right now it's this pretty pink, but it's going to turn to a dusty kind of a brick color. And this, I had to fight off the pollinators, sorry. There's two flies right here, but there's butterflies, there's all kinds of stuff on this guy. This is really nice. Obviously, as you know, sedums, feel this fat little leaf right here, super drought tolerant. You'll have to water it some to help it get established, but it's a great plant. And look down here, we had a branch that broke off, and look at all the new growth it's putting all up and down the branch. I bet you could take a cutting from that and root it. I've never tried to do that, but this is a great plant for pollinators. Gets to about 1.5 feet tall. Fabulous plant. And both of these, the sedum and the helenium, also called sneezeweed, but it's not going to make you sneeze, are just that beautiful kind of brick fall color, which contrasts really nicely with one of the best fall plants of all. This is an aster, but this is aster woods purple. Look at that purple color. Now contrast that. I'm going to get the sedum out of here. How about that purple mixed in with the dark of the helenium? No, I don't like that very much, but you might. But anyway, this is aster woods purple. The asters, this is another one of the composite flowers. Here are a number of ray flowers, and then the disc flowers. Look in there. See them all? Those are all the tiny little stamens right in there. I hope, yep, my phone seems to be focusing here. Super pretty. This gets to about 1 foot tall and 1 foot wide. It's a nice little small plant. My phone's having trouble focusing here. Here we go. It's a pretty little bushy fall plant. We also have a ton of the florist aster along with the mums and pansies and a bunch of other fall plants. But anyway, this is a nice little perennial native to the eastern United States. Great plant. You'll have so many butterflies if you get it. Here is a plant that Ellen Treem can tell you more about. Hey Ellen, I don't know that much about it. This is a Montauk daisy, one of the latest blooming plants that we have. This, obviously, see there's the bud right there, not even close to opening up yet. This will give you beautiful color in October and November. It's a kind of a shrubby little thing. If you lift the leaves up, and I'm going in here with my camera, it's kind of woody. It feels almost like a shrub. You don't cut it back to the ground, I don't believe. Ellen takes care of ours here at the garden center. She knows more about it. The leaves are quite fat and fleshy. They almost feel like the sedum leaves, and it's got a beautiful daisy, you know, yellow and white flower late in the fall. And here is my favorite of all. This is a goldenrod. And don't let anyone tell you that goldenrods cause allergies, because they don't. Any plant that needs to be pollinated by a pollinator, any plant that is pollinator friendly, the pollen is too heavy to float around in the wind. When it comes off the plant, it basically just drops to the ground, thud, like a bunch of tiny little rocks. But so Sneezeweed won't make you sneeze. Goldenrod won't make you sneeze. They all get a bad rap because they all bloom at the same time as ragweed. And ragweed, as I can attest, will make you sneeze. I've been taking my Zyrtec dutifully for about the last month. But anyway, this is Goldenrod Solar Cascade. And look, we have a friend. Let me see if I can get him. Yep, see, on top of everything else in 2020, we're having plagues of locusts. But yeah, so this has been a pretty crazy year. But anyway, this will give you just the most cheerful, brightest, most gorgeous color. Goldenrods are the best. This actually, interestingly enough, is also in the aster family. It's a composite flower, like the sneezeweed, like the aster, but each tiny little flower, let me see if I can get my phone to focus in on this. Well, I can't get that close. But if you come into the garden center, I can show you. Each tiny little flower has little ray flowers and little teeny disc flowers. This is actually really good for what are known as short-tongued bees and small pollinators. They can't really get into the larger flowers, but they love these little teeny flowers. So anyway, this is Solar Cascade. Gets to about 2 feet tall, maybe 2 feet wide. All of these, by the way, like full sun. But this is beautiful. We also have, my favorite goldenrod is Fireworks, but they weren't blooming yet, so I didn't bring you any. But you can see the graceful, you see the graceful way the plant just kind of arches out, the stems just kind of arch out like that. Goldenrods are just a very graceful plant. The Helenium is more a little short mounded bush, as is the aster. The aster is more of a little mound, and the Montauk daisy is more mounded. So it's really nice when you're designing a garden to try to have different shaped plants. The arching, graceful goldenrod contrasts with the mounded shape of the aster and the sneezeweed, and they all look really pretty together. Okay, moving along, I have here a cart of all different shrubs, all of my favorite shrubs for fall color. But let me just start out as a bridge between the perennials and the shrubs. You can't have a fall garden without grasses. The grasses are really the prettiest part of the fall garden. This one right here is a panicum. This is Panicum Northwind. You can see from the growth pattern, it's up and down. This will get to about 6 feet, maybe eventually 2 feet wide. I don't know. Cheryl Rerig could correct me on that. The seed heads are the prettiest kind of beige. The coloring on grasses is subtle, and the look of grasses is very subtle and delicate. These are, like I said, the coloring, it's kind of a light beige, kind of grayish beige with this sort of bluish green leaf. But this, it's light and it's airy. Even when it's big, even when it's 6 feet tall, it'll be very, very airy feeling. And that would contrast really nicely with something that's a little more chunky. And then the beige goes really well with all the other fall colors. So this is, you have to include a grass. This is just one. We have lots of others. There's little blue stem standing ovation, which is really pretty. There are smaller panicums. This one, like I said, gets to 6 feet. Really good for a privacy fence. But there are smaller ones, depending on how much room you've got. So, okay, this is a viburnum. This is Viburnum Winter Tour. Look at those berries. Isn't that spectacular? They are all eventually going to be blue, but they come in this pink. And the leaves are just this pretty kind of medium glossy green. In the spring, it has gorgeous white flowers. It's actually a grouping of flowers. It's an inflorescence. That's what a whole bunch of flowers together. It's small flowers. You can see the way the berries are. It's just this kind of rounded mound of small white flowers. Winter Tour is like many viburnums. It needs another viburnum in the same, a different variety in the same species. This is a Viburnum nudum. It will need another Viburnum nudum to help it set fruit. It needs some genetic diversity to help it set fruit. In this case, Brandywine is a really good one. There are other viburnum nudums, but we carry Brandywine. I mentioned this, however, because the fall color on this is spectacular. It turns this really deep brown, and with the leaves being glossy like this, it is just a deep glossy brown with a slight reddish tinge. It's like a mahogany kind of color. Super pretty. It'll eventually get to 7 feet, I guess, 7 feet or so. And this one I was interested to see. There's one leaf. You can see here it's been a little chewed. We have a friend. I'm not sure what kind of caterpillar this is. Can you see it? There he is. The light's not very good, I'm afraid. But he's got a little horn. I'm not sure what kind of caterpillar he is, but he's really pretty. So moving along here in my cart, now we have, this one is fabulous. Look at these leaves, the 3 little leaves. Does that remind you of anything? Does that maybe look like poison ivy? Well, it's not. It's another sumac. Poison ivy is in the sumac family. This is, I'm not sure if this right here are the flower buds for next year or if it's getting ready to flower now. We have some stuff stuff is just flowering all at the wrong time. It's just, this has been such a crazy year for plants as well as humans. But anyway, this is Grow Low sumac, one of my favorite shrubs in the world. It gets to about 3 to 4 feet tall. It's got a kind of an open growth pattern. Let me pull it out of the cart I had it in. You can see how it's kind of open there. Get my phone to focus in on it. Okay, so this will get to about 3 to 4 feet tall, but it spreads. It is a sumac. It will spread to, about 8 feet or so. Not too much more than that. It's not going to take over, but you do need a slightly larger spot in the yard for it. But it doesn't get tall. So there's that. The fall color, it turns a range of orange to scarlet to deep maroon. The fall color will knock your socks off. Now on fall color, you're going to have to take my word on all of these, obviously, because we're still a little early in the year. Now, of course, is the best time to get any of these, because what's happening now for all the plants is they're translocating all the sugars that they've been making during the year. They're translocating all the sugars back to the roots. They're getting ready for winter by growing a good, solid root system. And that means it's a really good time to plant, because they're going to grow a good, solid root system after you plant it. So here is another viburnum. This one here, this is Brandywine. This is the pollinator that winter tour needs. Once again, this also has the deep dark green glossy leaves. These leaves are just amazing. And when you have a big shrub, this also gets about 6-7 feet tall, and it'll get to, just like winter tour, it'll get to 4 or 5 feet wide. This is not a small shrub. It's not huge, but it's not a small shrub. But when the whole thing in the middle of summer with those nice deep glossy green leaves, it's spectacular. Once again, beautiful, beautiful white flowers in the spring. This one's a baby, so it doesn't have any berries yet, but he's starting to get his fall color. Super pretty. It's a really nice brown. Let me put it up here so that you can see what a pretty brown this is. It's a reddish brown. This is a great plant. The thing that's nice about Brandywine is that it does not need a pollinator. It is self-fertile. It does not need the genetic diversity that winter tour and a lot of the other viburnums do. Some viburnums are like that. They don't need that genetic diversity. While I'm standing here, here's some more sneeze weeds. Here are the yellow ones. See how pretty they are? And look, there's a little skipper right there. Whoops, he flew away. That's a kind of a little butterfly. And he's going to town on the flowers. So anyway, Brandywine is fabulous. Great choice. Now here I have brought up, if you think, my goodness, that looks like a holly, you're absolutely right. This is Ilex opaca Maryland dwarf. It is a cultivar of our Native American holly, which grows in all the forests all around here, obviously native to this area. I brought it up here not because it has a fabulous fall color, but because it doesn't. This green will really set off the other colors. If you have this green, it'll make all the other colors glow. It'll make them sing. They'll look even prettier with it. And look at the fall color, the new growth on this. Isn't that beautiful? Now this is interesting. This is a dwarf cultivar. Maryland dwarf will eventually get up to be about, maybe 2 feet tall and about 4 feet wide. So if you want a holly in your yard, but you don't have room for a 60-foot tree, because frankly, that's what our Native American holly does, this is the holly for you. You can also keep it pinched back a little bit. It's a mounding plant. You can see by the branching pattern that the branches are kind of layered on top of each other. Beautiful, beautiful mounded plant. Very tidy, very well behaved. So moving on. Down here on the ground, we have what all the native plant specialists and everybody recommends people get rather than our burning bush. Don't get a burning bush. Euonymus elatus compacta. That is the worst shrub. It is highly, highly invasive. It puts out berries that are not particularly nutritious for birds, but birds eat them anyway. And then they spread them everywhere. It's coming up through all the woods. It gets big, it takes shade, and it's just displacing all of our great native shrubs. It's a pest. Don't buy it. Instead, get this. This is an aronia. Aronias are, there's two, in the genus Aronia, there's 2 species, melanocarpa and something or other. Geez, the other name is space. I can't remember. Anyway, melanocarpa is the one that's native to the area. And this is a really nice cultivar. It is called Low-Scape Mound. There, you can see the sign. It's $34. Sorry about that. And anyway, I'm sorry, this is a melanocarpa cultivar because it's got black berries. The melanocarpas get black berries, but this is really cool because it stays small. Aronias get big. They can get 6 to 8 feet tall, but this Low-Scape Mound gets to, here we go, 1 foot tall and 2 feet wide. Little bitty guy. But the fall color it's like a fiery orangey red. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Highly recommended. In spring, it gets really pretty white flowers. It's a flower cluster of small, pretty white flowers. In summer, it's just a nice, tidy green bush. Like I said, small, yard-sized. Any HOA could deal with this. And then that's in summer. And then in fall, oh my goodness, goes crazy with these absolutely killer colors. Now, of course, all the shrubs I'm mentioning here are deciduous, except of course for the holly. Of course, they get their fall colors right before they lose their leaves. So, moving on. Here we have Fothergilla Blue Shadow. This is really cool. Let me see if I can pull it out of the cart and maybe put it where it gets some sun. This one can take full sun. It can take a little bit of a shade too. But if you can see it in the sun, well, actually that's washing it out, but where there's a little brighter light, it's called a glaucous covering. The leaves are kind of a whitish gray. They are spectacular, super, super pretty. And they'd be a really great, if you put something dark green with it in the garden, or if you had it during the course of the year, maybe planted it with some perennials. I'm not sure what color would be the prettiest. Maybe I would put it with some yellow, like some lemon yellow perennials. Maybe a moonbeam coreopsis around it, because this has kind of chunky bluish green leaves, so you'd want something fine around it. This time of year, maybe a Tuscan sun helianthus. I'm looking around for something, I don't know, I would put it with yellow flowers. But anyway, this gets, in early spring, very early spring, gets pretty white flowers. It gets a really pretty white flower spike. I think, I don't know, that's not it. And then during the course of the year, it's just this very tidy, bluish, it's a light blue. That's all it is. It's a light blue. It's crazy. And then, but in the fall, oh my goodness, it turns all different shades of yellow through orange to red to a very deep red. The fall color is amazing. The fall color is so pretty. You have to see this shrub. This is Fothergilla Blue Shadow. Super pretty. So walking back over here to the cart, we're moving along to, here we go, oak leaf hydrangea. You all might know this. This is a hydrangea, but it doesn't look at all like a hydrangea. Look at those leaves, completely different shape. And this, okay, it's finished flowering. It flowered earlier in the year. This is the flower head that's left over. It's actually really pretty. It's kind of a sort of a deepish beige, and it's delicate and very, very pretty. This is native, but it's native to Georgia. The Georgian Appalachians, but it does well around here. Like all of the hydrangeas, it is somewhat salt spray tolerant. It does like moist soil, but it doesn't want to be standing in the wet. Very, very pretty. Highly recommend. And the thing that's really cool is, okay, so it's got the pretty white flowers, and then the tidy green leaves. Like all hydrangeas, right here you can see it's getting some of that leaf spot. Unfortunately, that just happens with hydrangeas here. I don't really worry about it unless it gets really bad. It's really more of an aesthetic problem. If you want to spray, you can, but it's just, oh my goodness, you have to start early in the spring. It's just because we're so humid here. There's really not too much that you can do. But so anyway, in the summer, it has the pretty green leaves, really cool shape. And then if you go down here, you can kind of sort of see that it has absolutely fabulous peeling bark. Look at this. It's really cool. See down here? Beautiful peeling bark. So it's actually a 4-season shrub. The new growth coming in early in the spring is really pretty, just small and delicate, and then it unfurls into these beautiful leaves. And then in the summer, it's just a nice big bush. This will get up to 5 feet by 5 feet, maybe 6 feet by 6 feet. I've seen them get bigger. Mine back in Virginia, deer liked them a whole lot, so that was kind of a pain. But anyway, you can put liquid fence down if you have deer in your yard. And then anyway, in mid-late summer, it gets a beautiful, it's a kind of a conical, really pretty white flower. And then in fall, oh my gosh, the fall color is a deep brownish maroon. Really, really, really pretty. It's gorgeous. And then the leaves fall off and you have beautiful exfoliating bark. If you have room, I would put this up somewhere close where you can see it, because it's just that pretty. And then here we have the last shrub I'm going to tell you about. This is Itea, Virginia sweet spire it's called. This is Itea. This is the straight species. We also have Henry's garnet and little Henry. Henry's garnet gets up to, oh geez, Cheryl, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Henry's garnet gets up to about 5 feet, and little Henry's about 3 feet. So anyway, this has a pretty leaf. This one's a little chlorotic. We're going to have to feed it. I know Chantal's been feeding everything, but Chantal is one of our people here at the garden center. Might have to give it a little more. But anyway, so in midsummer, late June, it has beautiful cascading white flower spikes. Here's what's left over. And they cascade down. Each one of these was a pretty little fuzzy white flower with the stamens coming out. Very fragrant, super fragrant. Bees loved it. All kinds of, we had all kinds of butterflies, all kinds of bee mimics. Pollinators just love it. And then in the fall, it turns orangey scarlet. Absolutely beautiful. Just beautiful, beautiful fall color. The species gets to, like I said, about 4 to 5 feet. This takes all of these. Okay, so the hydrangea likes shade. It can take some morning sun. The viburnums do prefer part shade, especially with how hot our summers are getting around here. I wouldn't give them all day sun. The Itea does like some shade. The Fothergilla can take full sun. The holly prefers shade. It can take some morning sun. Like I said, the Fothergilla can take full sun. The Aronia wants full sun. Aronia down there. There you go, buddy. There you are. The Aronia wants full sun. The Fothergilla can take full sun. It can take a little bit of shade. And the sumac definitely wants full sun. The perennials also want full sun. So there we have it. This is your shade garden. If you plant even just a few of these, any one of them will just bring you color And I would put them, you could make a shade garden, plant several of these, maybe have a dogwood, a hawthorn. I'm thinking of other small trees. I can't think of any right off the top of my head that have fabulous fall color. Think about a red maple, which has spectacular fall color. Whenever you're gardening, I hope you're thinking of planting in layers. So you have your tall trees, your shorter trees, your shrub layer, your perennial layer. That's the way it works in nature. That's the way our forests work. That's the most efficient use of space as far as providing habitat for critters. That's the way ecosystems work. So that's what I hope you're trying to do in your garden. You can create a nice shady nook, put the perennials, the sun-loving perennials, at the edge so that they get some sun. That's where they would normally be anyway, or out in a meadow. And then put these guys under here, under the trees, the ones that want shade under the trees. Put the panicum can take some shade, but he mostly likes sun, so you could put him out at the edge. And but put all this where you can see it from a window. And that would be really, really pretty, because on some fall days are not as nice as others, but you can sit inside and look at those beautiful colors and think of all the hard work that you did and think of how pretty your garden is. So anyway, thanks a lot for listening. Hope you guys are doing well. I hope to be watching this from work, and come by and see us at the garden center. Okay, bye-bye.